Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are here with I am Jojo if you didn't know, and this is Janine, and we make these videos for our youth groups. And so welcome. It's for our church, Iglesia Fuente Vida in Sun Valley, and this is for during the time of COVID-19, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And so if you want to say whatever the topic
So yeah,
is today.
so before I get into today's topic, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you really feel like it, and we highly encourage it. And yeah, let's dive in. So the lesson we have for you guys for today is titled Ready for the Aftermath, and pretty much what it's entailing is, or what we're going to be discussing pretty much, is how we're moving out of COVID-19 and the process of how do we stand in the midst of all of it.
Yeah.
Because we all came from a pretty good note before quarantine, and everything was amazing and fine and great, and we were all doing so well, and then quarantine hit, COVID-19 hit, and we all got into a funk. Maybe even more than a funk, to a point where people lost their jobs, their families, their homes, people, like, their loved ones. And it's incredible how so much change happened in the span of just a few months.
Yeah. We say ready for the aftermath because maybe, let's say, during this time your faith has been restored, or that you feel this new fire, just like, man, when I get out and go to church, I'm gonna work for God, I'm gonna do whatever it takes, I'm gonna be there every Sunday, I'll be here every Wednesday, or whatever days that you guys go. And then when the time comes, let's say when the time comes and the day is set right in front of you, you make excuses. So that's why we say being ready for the aftermath. Are you ready? That's what you have to ask yourself. Will I be ready for the aftermath? Do I have whatever that God is going to help me and supply me with? Is that, do I have it? And so,
or maybe even you're not in that situation. Maybe you're in the opposite situation. Maybe your faith has decreased and you haven't been leaning into your Bible. You haven't had that one-on-one conversation with God yet because you've been so stressed with all the stressors of life in quarantine. And so this is for anyone on the spectrum that we're describing right now, because we
all
know
over the spectrum.
all over the spectrum, because we all have unique experiences. We
Yeah.
kind of want to make like a really small lesson for you guys to kind of get you guys ready for this aftermath, for this post-quarantine that we're already entering into. For California, we're kind of already getting ready and into the idea of places opening up, places already having curbside pickup, not just restaurants, but even clothing stores as well are already having that option. And even more so beyond that, like churches are even starting to open up in other states. But even in California, that decision has not been made yet. But it's hopeful that maybe it will on Monday, that they'll finally decide. So
Yeah, and a question to ask yourself too, before you really dive into the word, and what I want you to ask yourself, or a question saying, are you ready for the calling that God has for you?
Yes.
And what are you doing to prepare yourself for that during this time? Or even after, what are you going to do to prepare for what God has for you in the future, or even now?
yeah,
And so,
starting to make that game plan of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And we can still make our game plan and not follow through. So what we also want to emphasize is that follow through too. And making sure that you have that motivation, you have that push, you have that drive, you have those people around you to support those decisions that you are making in accordance to what you feel and what God has called you for your purpose on this earth. And so one lesson, I guess, that kind of gets to my mind, and what has really driven me to kind of think of this lesson, or kind of been called to give you guys this lesson, was the story of Job, and how he went from a very riches to rags, quite the opposite like idea, but his mental state was from a riches to rags kind of idea. And so we kind of want to emphasize how he was an amazing man of God. He was so, how do I describe it? Just, if there could be the number one Christian on the planet in this book, it probably would have been described as Job at the time. And he was known for many things, and he was probably the richest man in his area for the longest time. And Satan came to God at a certain point and started talking to God, and God suggested that he Satan recognized Job, like, oh, have you seen this man of God, like how great and how holy he is, and all.
Maybe even God even talks about you that way too. You feel like God's even talking to you like that, saying, "Man, look at him. He's my guy. Look what he's doing. He's all about God. Look what he's like. Man, he has a heart of pure, like purity, pure of gold. Like he is what I want. He has what I want for my children." And then he's like, "All right, bet." He's like, let's see.
And so pretty much, God allowed Satan to have all this, have this influence over Job in the sense of having a lot of stuff around Job occur pretty negatively. And God pretty much didn't do this to Job because he hated Job. He didn't do it because he wanted to see Job fall from number 1 to like the very, very last. He wanted to show Job what it truly meant to be a Christian.
Yeah.
And so Job went through a lot of stuff. He lost his kids, he lost his fortune, he lost his servants, he lost so many things. And God was pretty much testing his faith. Are you truly going to still follow me, even not only in the good but in the bad?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at right now. Are we still following God in the good and the bad? When this quarantine is over, are we going to lean into God still? Or if we haven't been, are we going to start leaning into God? And it even talks about it in the Bible. And it says, after how Job was kind of dealing with this sadness, with this despair, with this depression of losing all this, he even got to the point and still recognized that God is still number 1. Yeah. He is still being faithful to God and not blaming God for what has been going on in his life. And it says this in chapter 2, verse 10. Should we accept only good from God and not adversity? Throughout all this, Job did not sin in what he said. So the main key point here was that he still remained faithful. And we encourage you guys, especially in these difficult times or even in the good times that you guys may be having. We're not sure exactly what situation you're in. But just leaning into God throughout all this, and nothing is done because God hates us.
Yeah. I encourage you, even during those times, let's say you're having a bad day and you're just crying, like, why is this happening, or why is this? I encourage you to just bring out your Bible, or even just play some worship music, and then even just thank him in the process of that, and saying, you know what, I know you're going to get me out of this, and that you are going to aid me through this. Even though I can't see it right now, it's all dark around me, I know you're going to help me through it in the end. And that was even Job too. He was just like, I know you're going to get me through this. And so, yeah.
And despite even that, and you go on in later chapters, and he's still sad.
Yeah.
But never in the Bible did he say, it's your fault.
Yeah, you can be sad, but still worship God through it, because you can't help your feelings in the end. But you know that at the end of that, God is going to get you through it, and you will see the end of it.
Yeah, and one important phrase I feel like that comes to mind, especially in this situation, is the no pain, no gain situation. And it sounds, and it sucks, because we say that even with beauty measures, and how we, when girls go get that wax, or get their eyelashes done, or their hair done, and like harmful things.
I don't know how girls do wax. I'm sensitive. So
if you're a guy and you're listening to this and you're not sure, we don't recommend you try it, but it's still it's painful. Just from a girl's perspective, it is painful in the way we try to achieve certain things. Yeah. But the no pain, no gain is a girl's motto for that, because we want to look a certain way, or we want to seem all nice and clean. And for us, in order for us to do that, we do have to experience a little bit of pain. But within that pain, we gain something.
Yeah. And
that's kind of what God does when he tests us like this. We're all a part of something greater than what we can even imagine. Yeah. And God is using this time to prepare us, whether you believe it or not. We're both here to tell you that it is true.
Maybe even sometimes too, you're even during this time, maybe you see others around you like, yeah, I know God's calling. It's right there. I can see it. I know what he's asking me. It came in a dream maybe, or he talked to me, and maybe you're waiting for that. Maybe you haven't gotten that, and you're like, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do after this. I don't know what the next step is for me. Like, I'm still struggling with that. I'm asking God every day, what's my next step? And I encourage you to keep working on that and keep praying to him, because he will come to you, and it'll come in the strangest way. I'm telling you that for sure, because mine came in the strangest way, and I bet others around you did too. But don't give up on it. Keep continuing, keep pursuing it. Don't give up so lightly, because I feel like a lot of us have that too, because he didn't give up lightly. He didn't at all. You'll see many throughout the Bible verse, like any Bible story that you read, maybe some they didn't give up in the end. It was a hard battle. It was long years, and maybe that's just it for some people, that it'll take a long time for it to come.
Yeah.
And it's just sticking it out. And that's what we rely on God for. That's what we ask him for.
Yeah. Like, one example in the Bible I believe that might represent that truly is the story of Joseph, and how he was pretty much thrown back and forth from rags to riches, rags to riches. And it's that back and forth. And don't ever feel that everything in being a Christian is going to be perfect, because it's not. Especially in this aftermath. It might even be a back and forth for you. You might feel great one day and not great the next. And what God is really encouraging you, and is encouraging us to tell you today, is stay faithful and stay strong, because you are so much stronger than what you can even imagine. And it's just great to know that we have a God that's so faithful and so amazing, so limitless. We talked about that in our last sermon last week. And just, God is amazing and incredible. There's absolutely no words to truly describe it. We do it as best as we can, but to be honest, I don't think there truly
God,
is.
There is no word to explain God's love. We can do it the best that we can, but his love is so pure, it's beyond compare than what we can ever dream of. And that's why when I say there are no limits to his love, and even to this, when you stick it out, you'll see at the end how limitless and how much he will provide for you in the end. Even no matter how long it is. Maybe that long time of darkness is so long, you start to lose sight of what you are even doing, or maybe why you even did it in the beginning. And I think that's a really big struggle for a lot of people. And that's why these are good stories.
Definitely. And just so we really want to lean into God in this time, especially in this aftermath, because we're almost out of this quarantine, or at least we're all hoping that it is. It's slowly but surely getting there, and we're all trying to get by.
I just want to be outside.
We all want to be outside and just get back out there and not go back to what it was before, but go to something better. I know I've heard that before. You've probably heard that before. Maybe you've even read something that said we don't want to go back to what it was before. We want something better. And God has always something that is greater than our wildest dreams. The goals that you have in your life don't even compare to what God has in store for you. So we encourage you guys to lean in and just open your Bible, or you can't open your Bible, you talk to a friend and have this discussion, because I know sometimes you need that tangible connection. Maybe it's through FaceTime or Zoom or anything, or it's just a simple text message. And we really truly encourage you guys, and if you can, start searching into that one-on-one conversation with God. And I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Jojo.
All I just say is to hang in there. That's really the end of it. You need to have that support team with you as well. Some people that truly get what you are trying to do, or have been in your position, so you need the best support team that you can. So your family even, just kind of talk to them, maybe some of you don't have that family to support you. Maybe they're not there religious wise, or maybe they're kind of so-and-so. Maybe it's a little bit awkward to talk to your parents. So maybe talk to your youth leader, even message us, or just talk to a friend about it. You need those people that will be there for you, not the opposite, and try to draw you back into what you are trying to get away from. And what will get you away from what God has been calling you to do. And I just highly advise you to get those people and hug them dearly and keep them as close to you as possible.
And all this is in preparation for this aftermath. We definitely want to equip you guys with the best to get yourselves through this quarantine. And we know it seems like we're pretty hopeful, at least in that sense, that that it all ends hopefully soon. And we love you guys, and we're thankful that you guys decided to join in today and watch this little sermon. Might have been longer than we actually thought, but yeah, we'll see you guys next Sunday. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys later.